Okay. Hello, good morning, friends. And we're in the home stretch. I promised yesterday I would finish this. It's like 9 steps that I went through trying to figure out exactly how our elections are hacked, who's involved, how the rigging occurs. And so I got too much glare here. We're just going to do that. And so this is the third and final part. If you recall yesterday, so this is as far as we got. This is what we have, I hope. So what happened was I had checked in with Donald to see what he was up to, and the card of the reading was the High Priestess. So I wanted to find out what's with the High Priestess with the elections. Well, I did that in the first video, and the final outcome then had to do with how they entrap a candidate from the opposition. Like in 2016, this was Hillary Clinton. They were able to trap her with propaganda, and she had no leverage, no leeway. I mean, if you just want to look at the media coverage, look at how much media coverage Donald got, and we only heard about emails. She's surrounded by emails. And so when I read on entrapping a candidate, what exactly happens, the thing that I was interested that stuck out to me was the Knight of Pentacles. Those were the next steps. When they're entrapping a person, it relies on a Knight of Pentacles, a person who gives an offering of data, someone that gets the data. So as I did the reading on the Knight of Pentacles, the thing that caught my eye was the Knight of Swords. The next step after we figure out the Knight of Pentacles, we call in the Knight of Swords. And those are like your digital armies, the people who put out the propaganda, and just who really go on the tack with their words and how they engage with people. And then from the Knight of Swords, that yielded, when I looked at that, what's the next step? They need people on the ground, the Page of Swords. So that is where I am right now. Put that up in the corner. So here we go. I have 3 layers here. So this actually is the 7th step. So now they need someone on the ground. Page of Swords. Interesting, that reading I just did and posted, Good Morning Sunshine, the Page of Swords, being Zuckerberg. And so Mark Zuckerberg, or it could be someone who goes out and spreads misinformation. You know, this could be like Eric and Don Jr., but I am going to use Mark Zuckerberg here, okay? So once they have the data, and the payments, and then they have the digital armies, everyone is to go. As we get close to the election, we have Mark Zuckerberg. And his job, he is covered in the 7 of Cups, the haze and confusion that if you're on Facebook, social media, this is the cloud that starts to come over the candidates in the days leading to the election. Always creating this confusion. They're not quite right, but maybe it could have been this. This is called controlling. Controlling the reflexive narrative. It's an old Soviet thing where they put out some information about someone. Some things are facts, some things are not, but it's disjointed enough that it makes people fill in the gaps of this story, but everyone gets a different story. So nobody can get their facts straight, and then there's a lot of time that is spent clarifying about what that person meant about that, or what that person meant about that, like Hillary's health. Her emails, how many times did she have to clarify that? I mean, it's just on and on and on. So Zuck, because he has hundreds of millions of Facebook accounts worldwide, he has access to the Republican Party databases, and he is now, we know, is the back channel to NGP Van. He's got everything. So he's just gonna like make a mix of a cloudy, hazy confusion, because the challenge is they have to get people angry with each other. They have to divide people so much that they're at each other's throats so that they can just slip along in the background and do what they want to do and grab hold of the media narrative and keep going forward while they're leaving the opponent in the dust with all the garbage, fighting about what's fact and what's not fact. At the very basis of this, Ace of Wands, it's an op. It's intended to do this. It drags the media in, the MSM, and they repeat the same stuff. And then they echo what is being repeated on social media. How many times do you watch the nightly news and they're like, oh, well, this was trending today? It's like, stop reporting that crap. We don't need to have that, because the trends, the people who are in charge of that, Jack Dorsey, he has a direct line with the Trump campaign and catch and kill trends, and they put out there what they want. Have you ever seen trends in your area for Twitter and you're like, what the heck is that? There's only 2,000 people tweeting about this? They pick what you get to see. And so what is crowning then the Page of Swords suck? It's the Four of Cups. Here's your candidate. How much do you like this candidate? I'm going to give you this story and this story and this story and this story, and you kind of want to throw up now. You just really despise this person, and you need anybody else. Anybody else. This is getting this crap shoved down your throat and in your face, and it gets so overwhelming that you have to turn on someone, and you're like guided to where you should go. You should pick this person, the person who's caught. Now you got a different perspective. Well, maybe that candidate isn't so bad. Maybe I can overlook some of those things. We're going to stick with this one, because when they do that, what happens? Don Julio gives you a nice, beautiful offer with a nice, beautiful piece of chocolate cake, and then he sounds clear, like he knows what's going on. Like people think, you know what, he's really a genius. No, he's not. You're just getting psyoped and your brain scrambled, so he just seems like he's a genius. He's not a flipping genius. Because the Page of Swords takes advantage of timing and opportunity. Kremlin, Russia has taught him everything he needs to know. This is the agreement with Trump, Russia, and how they're going to go about their things. Because the hope is they can use the Russian strength behind them, the tried and tested true methods. Their fear is that people might not leave a candidate. They'll set something up for people to believe in, and then they have to have faith that people will do that. So their fear is that people won't do what they want them to do. And then what's to come is judgment. Dun, dun, dun. It's time to vote. Don't vote for that horrible person because everybody hates that person. Are you crazy? They're this, they're that. Horrible, horrible. How could you? Screaming at you across your screens. That's what happens next. And then people get so dejected, so confused, so exhausted. Either they don't go vote, which we're finding out in 2 counties in Iowa. People didn't go vote. Democrats didn't turn out. They've been focused for a year in Iowa with the caucuses. Democrats didn't show up. They were exhausted. Those that did showed up and had a bad app, and things weren't counted correctly anyway. Their votes were suppressed. Thank Mark Zuckerberg for that. You going to delete that account yet of yours now? Of Bookface? So that was the 7th step. So again, we have the High Priestess, the overall operation that integrates Russia directing all elections beginning to start, entrapping a candidate, getting data, getting money for that, setting up the digital armies, the propaganda. There's Mark Zuckerberg to pull the haze over you with all those 5,000 psychographic points they have of every single user, down to the color of button that you will push and engage in. Okay, so, oh, the Page of Swords, I already picked it up. So the thing that I wanted to look at then from the Page of Swords was the Five of Pentacles, this voter suppression. Is that that? We're here looking at the Page of Pentacles, or the Five of Pentacles, suppression or people not voting. So after Zuck does that, people are suppressed, they don't vote, or if they do vote, magically something happens with that vote. There's a magician that's, covering the Five of Pentacles person. They get the person to flip, they get the person to not vote, or they, work out a way to flag them in the e-polling books when you check in so that you don't get a ballot. That's me. That's why I read tarot cards. See the first video, you'll get the story behind that. So the challenge then, when they get to this point, is to make things go with precision and speed, so that they can ambush and make this stuff happen at the spin of a dime. The challenge is the speed and the messaging of the speed. The base of this is the Eight of Pentacles. This is all the data. This is a routine that they do. They have this down to an art form. They have all your data. They have your psychographic profiles. They've been able to grab your data from the databases, whether it was from GOP or Zuckerberg working as a back channel with NGP Van. That data is shared with Russia. They spin it up in their little temperance machine because it's going to be weaponized against the voter. The voter, the Queen of Cups, this is my United States of America card. This is the voter who now has their data being used against them so they won't vote. And a magician in the past has their eyes on them. Because in the past, the Six Wands mob, Trump, Putin, Unji, Netanyahu, MBS, etc., used all that information for their victory parties, for their shared celebrations, manipulating all these elections worldwide. And they rolled all these elections worldwide quickly. They have got such a machine going, they're able to do it quickly. So how do we see the Five of Pentacles? Remember that the High Priestess is the one who's kind of narrating this whole story in the background. The Five of Pentacles, the suppression, is to benefit the Trump dynasty, the Trump family. So, so that's how we see what's happening. The people behind the suppression, Trump dynasty. The environment is one of Four of Swords, where they lie dormant. They act like they don't know what's going on. They just kind of lie in wait. The Four of Swords is actually the malware or the coding that is built into an app or an e-polling book or the state voter databases that that are activated when it's time to vote. This is for entertainment purposes only. Where is my super high-tech sign? Because I need that. This is totally for entertainment purposes only. Ha 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 ha. This is so funny. I'm so entertained. Are you entertained? I'm entertained. Here we go. I think I need to keep that out. So this thing lays dormant. It's activated when it comes to canvassing, when they start collecting updated data. And then it all gets fed into the machine at the time to vote. And what's the hope with this little thing that they got going? They hope that the Empress, the Trump-Russia co-ruling of the world agreement, goes through. They fear that the Emperor, Don Julio, won't make it. So the next step is to totally kill off the campaign of the opposition or kill off any favor or anything likable or favorable or electable about the opponent. Kill it. Get rid of it. And then, whoops, death. Oh, and then Final outcome is the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands, has always it's either been like Eric or Junior. But the Page of Wands and what's to come, I'll show you. Let me get this going. So the final outcome is the Page of Wands. Why do I have the 9 Wands there? It's the Page of Wands. Ha! I feel like something is lost here. Page of Wands. Oh, I didn't choose the Page of Wands. Even though what's to come, final outcome is the Page of Wands. Is news that it worked. Things went their way. That's what it is. So, and the last step I wanted to look at was the Magician because it was covering the voter suppression. So here we go. Trump was thinking about the High Priestess, the thing that they got going with Russia for the elections, which results in a candidate being totally entrapped. It involves data being transmitted, money being brought to those who are in power. So then they figure out what they're going to do with their digital operations and their digital armies, which is to micro-target voters, suppress the vote, get people to turn on their candidate or not show up to vote. And then Mark Zuckerberg, for entertainment purposes only, gets going on his cloud of information, misinformation, and making sure that they target everyone. But here's the thing. Voter suppression is covered in the Magician. And that's what I wanted to know about. What's with the freaking Magician? Well, here we go. Wasn't this this deck is the Pre-Raphaelite Tarot. Oh, this one, the Page of Wands, the Dreaming Way Tarot by Rome Choi. And then this one was the Centennial Edition of the Smith-Waite. And then the backs of these cards, it's just the tarot. Deck of 78 cards. Puppy dog, you gotta wait, bud. Almost done. Okay. So, the Magician. What does the Magician do? The Magician, their job is to magically flip things around. The Magician is covered by the Hanged Man. They've suddenly gotten the Hanged Man, the alternate candidate, going. People really believe in this alternate candidate. The challenge, though, is creating so much outrage, coming up with ideas why this candidate is so likable and the other one is so horrible, awful, they should be in jail for life type of thinking. That's their challenge, is coming up with that much of a narrative. And this is also my China card. China not getting caught. At the very basis of this is the 9 of Wands. The 9 of Wands card is my card for burden Donald or a burden Republican candidate who they know their polling says that this candidate sucks. They're going to get rolled. There's just no way you can win this. And what's crowning the Magician is the White House, because they want to hang on to the White House. In the past, they've had secret talks and secret planning. Oh, here we go. The card of the reading was the 9 of Pentacles. That's comfort and security. So to keep their comfort and security, the White House is just crazy about this. They're always talking to someone about this because Don Julio is being judged. He should be in jail. How do we see the Magician? 5 of Swords, winning unfairly, using the mafia. I know, just a minute. The environment is one of the 8 of Wands. Things are moving really quickly. The hope is the 6 of Cups to get the Republican Party elected. The fear is the 5 of Swords backfiring on them. It just be creating too much of a mess, and also winning so disproportionately it's suspect. And so the next step is the World card, ending one candidate, getting that hanged candidate to go so that the Republicans can win against that alternate person. And the final outcome is that there was a change in plan. There's a change of a candidate, and so now everybody, after a primary, has to figure out what they're going to do because a whole game plan has been disrupted and changed. How many times do we watch these primaries and like the candidates are like, oh, I guess we got to revisit this and figure out what we're going to do because we thought we were going to do this and it's not going to work. It's not their fault. They're having all of their information weaponized against them. Okay, so I got to go. Thanks, you guys. Got to go let the dog out. I'm going to let the dog out. Yes, I let the dog out. Okay. Thanks, you guys.